What's the wildest wrong place, wrong time situation you've accidentally walked into? So this happened when I was 17 and decided running at 6 a.m. made me a disciplined person instead of what I actually was. Stupid, sleep-deprived, and extremely unaware of my surroundings. I lived in a rural area, meaning half my running route was just nature, tree lines, and the occasional methy wildlife wandering around like they also had somewhere to be. About 20 minutes into the run, I heard chanting, like actual rhythmic chanting. I thought maybe it was hunters with some Bluetooth speaker, but nope. I jogged closer because curiosity is a disease, and apparently I tested positive. I came around the bend and there they were, 6 grown adults wearing beige robes standing in a circle around a deer. The deer wasn't dead. It was just standing there perfectly still, staring forward like it was waiting for its performance review. One of the robed people said something like, "May the forest accept this loyal watcher." Another replied, "May its spirit guide the way." I froze because what script was this? Then I swear on my tax returns, a 7th robed person stepped forward holding a bowl of something red, something probably not Kool-Aid. I tried to slowly back away, but of course I stepped on the loudest branch ever produced in the history of forestry. Every head turned, including the deer. The deer stared right at me, like it was also judging my life choices. One of the robed people whispered, "An outsider." Another said, "Not during the right." I didn't wait for the right explanation DLC. I just booked it back down the trail, ran a full mile at Olympic speeds, didn't even feel my legs, just pure adrenaline and fear, and maybe forest spirits pushing me along. When I finally reached the road again, a truck slowed down next to me. Old guy looked like every fisherman grandfather stereotype ever. "You see the robe people?" he asked calmly, like he was asking if I'd seen a lost dog. "Yes." He nodded and said, "Yeah, don't run that path on weekends." Like that was supposed to explain anything. Anyway, I started going to the gym instead. After that, nature is canceled. I used to work front desk at a mid-tier hotel chain, the kind where the carpets always smell faintly like wet laundry and disappointment. Night shift was chill, mostly business travelers, the occasional guy asking if we had any spare toothbrushes, condoms, or waffles. One night, there was a mix-up in our system. Room 412 was marked as vacant clean, no guests assigned. A family came in at 1 a.m. with 2 kids half asleep in the lobby chairs. So I gave them 412 so they wouldn't have to wait while housekeeping prepped something else. 5 minutes later, the dad comes back downstairs looking like he'd just seen Jesus, but Jesus wasn't happy to see him. "There's someone in the room." He said I apologized and assured him that was impossible. The system said empty, no check-ins, no extensions, nothing. He said, "There's someone in the bed." At this point, I thought maybe housekeeping left a mannequin or something, because that actually happened once. Long story. So I grab the spare key and go up with him. We unlock the door. Lights off, quiet looks empty, then we get closer. There is indeed a person in the bed, and not like someone sleeping peacefully. No, it was a grown man fully dressed in a suit, laying stiff as a board, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. He didn't move. He didn't blink. He didn't acknowledge us. The dad whispered, "Sir?" "Nothing," I said. "Hello, this room is supposed to be unoccupied." Still, nothing. Then I will never forget this. The man slowly moved only his eyes toward me, not his head, not his body, just his eyes, and in the calmest, creepiest voice said, "I was never here." Then he closed his eyes. Like that solved anything. I called security, but by the time they arrived, the guy was gone. Bed-made room empty, no sign of forced entry, nothing missing, no trace. We checked the cameras. No one ever went in or out of the hallway in the time we were up there. I quit 2 weeks later. The carpets still smelled like wet laundry, but now they also smelled like dread. So picture this. It's prom night. I'm in a rented tux that fits everywhere except the places that matter. My date is somewhere losing a shoe or her patience, and I really have to pee. The bathrooms are full, so I detour into the teacher's lounge bathroom because at 17 I believed consequences were imaginary. As soon as I step inside, I hear two people whisper arguing. I freeze because I recognize the voices, my math teacher and the assistant principal. I'm standing there in the stall like a confused raccoon while they're apparently discussing whether they should just tell everyone they're dating, which was already wild because she was married. Then it escalates. Teacher, we can't hide it forever. Assistant principal, we can, we should. Your husband suspects. Teacher, maybe I'll just leave him. Assistant principal, after prom, not tonight. I'm clutching the toilet paper dispenser like I'm in a hostage situation. Then my worst fear happens. The toilet auto-flushes. The entire room goes silent. Teacher, who's in here? Assistant principal, probably a student. Teacher, did they hear us? I want to teleport into the void. I wait a full minute hoping they'll leave. They don't. They're whispering now about damage control and who the kid in the stall might be. I panic and do the only thing my teenage brain could come up with. I drop to the floor, army crawl under the stall wall, crawl across the lounge floor, and exit through the janitor's closet door on the other side. I accidentally lock eyes with the janitor, who is eating a sandwich and looks deeply disappointed in me as a species. Anyway, math class on Monday was unbearable. She kept staring at me like she was trying to determine whether I was the bathroom goblin from prom night. I still got a C though. No favoritism. Okay, so buckle up because this is the story that convinced me the universe has a sick sense of humor and that I am its favorite chew toy. This happened when I was 19 and working part-time as a delivery runner for this tiny flower shop that mostly catered to weddings, old ladies, and weirdly high-volume funeral orders. The shop occupied the bottom floor of a 3-story building, and next door was a quirky pet rescue place run by a woman named Marlene who had the energy of someone who drinks iced coffee intravenously. She specialized in unusual pets, which should have been my first warning sign, but I was young and stupid and thought unusual meant rabbits that bite or hamsters with attitude. Anyway, one afternoon, I get an order to deliver a sympathy bouquet to a funeral service happening in the same building, just the back section. Simple job. In, hand off flowers. Pretend to be quietly respectful, and dip. Except the normal entrance was blocked because they were doing some rearranging, so the funeral home director told me to use the side stairwell that connected to the basement entrance. I should have walked away right there. Stairwells in old buildings are where demons, raccoons, and tax auditors hang out. Nothing good happens there. But no, I went. The second I opened the stairwell door, I smelled something. Not like dead body, thankfully. More like someone microwaved old onions and then Febrezed them out of guilt. The lights were flickering too, like the building was trying to warn me, turn back, idiot. I start going down the stairs when I hear this weird scratching sound behind me. I froze. The sound got louder. Then suddenly, this long noodle-shaped blur rockets past me and almost takes my ankle with it. It was a ferret wearing a tiny sweater. A sweater that said, bite-size chaos. I swear I'm not making that up. Before I can react, the ferret does a 180 and stares at me like I'm trespassing. Then it runs back up the stairs. I assume it belongs to Marlene and keep going because I am at this point catastrophically committed to delivering these damn flowers. Halfway down the stairs, I hear more scratching, louder, closer. Then I hear voices, angry voices. Where did it go? Check the stairs. If it gets into the embalming room, we are done. I don't know if you've ever been in a stairwell between a ferret on the loose and a funeral home staff in panic mode, but let me tell you, it puts you in a weird psychological headspace. Suddenly, 3 people in black suits burst in through the bottom door like SWAT agents entering a drug den. One of them is holding what looks like a fishing net. Another one is holding a laundry basket. The third is holding raw chicken. They all freeze when they see me, and the guy with the chicken just says, "Please tell me you didn't see a ferret." I just point upward. All hell breaks loose. They start sprinting up the steps. Ferret Man throws me the raw chicken like it's a grenade and yells, "If it comes back down, just distract it." I did not sign up for ferret combat. But okay, whatever. I get to the bottom of the stairwell, go through the basement door, and I'm immediately in a hallway where 2 funeral directors and a grieving family are standing clearly preparing for some emotional moment. I walk right into it holding a giant bouquet and a fistful of raw chicken. Everyone goes dead silent. The grieving wife looks at me like I'm the vanguard of some bizarre new funeral tradition. One of the directors just quietly whispers, "Oh dear God." I panic. My brain completely abandons me. I squeak out, "These are for condolences," and hold up the flowers. Then, still holding the chicken, I add, "This is unrelated." Everyone's eyes follow the chicken. The wife nods slowly like she's trying to make sense of life. Her teenage son starts laughing so hard he starts choking, which creates a whole new problem in the middle of their tragedy. While they're all staring at me, the ferret bursts into the hallway like a furry missile and starts weaving between everyone's legs. Chaos, screaming, absolute pandemonium. Someone yelled, "Is that a demon?" Someone else yelled, "Catch it." The ferret guy burst through the door, net first like a cartoon character. Somehow, they managed to capture it. The grieving wife pats the ferret and says, "He's cute," while I'm still holding the chicken like a moron. I give her the flowers. She gives me a pity smile like I just survived a traumatic event. I had. On my way out, the director says, "Don't ever use the stairwell again." I nodded, still holding the chicken because no one told me what to do with it. When I dropped it off with the funeral staff, someone just sighed and said, "We'll return this to Marlene." And that's the story of how I accidentally crashed a funeral with raw chicken, got chased by a ferret in a sweater, and witnessed funeral home ferret SWAT in action, all because I used the wrong entrance, wrong place, wrong time, wrong damn day. So this happened when I was 19, freshly equipped with the social intelligence of a soggy paper towel and the GPS accuracy of a pigeon. My cousin had sent me the address of a church where we were meeting for her friend's wedding. She said, "White building, lots of cars outside, you can't miss it." Spoiler, I absolutely missed it. I walked in confidently, dressed in a bright blue suit because I thought it made me look distinguished. There were lots of people crying, and I thought, wow, emotional wedding. Cute. People were hugging each other. No bride anywhere though. But again, maybe she was in the back. Then someone handed me a program. I glanced down and saw a giant picture of an old man with angel wings in the background. I thought maybe he was walking her down the aisle. Nope. The title said, "In Loving Memory of Francis J. Miller." My brain rebooted like a Windows 98. I froze. Then absolute hell. This older woman came up to me and immediately burst into tears again and hugged me. Full sobbing mascara in my suit, shaking my ribs, crying. She said, "He always loved seeing young men dressed up. He would have adored this." I thought admitting the truth right then would literally kill her on the spot, so I awkwardly said, "He sounds wonderful." Then someone else took my arm, the priest, and asked if I was the young man who wanted to speak. I didn't know how to say no. My soul left my body. I got pushed to the lectern. Suddenly 200 grieving strangers were staring at me. I began with, "I didn't know Francis personally." Gasps, audible confusion. So I panicked and followed up with, "But I can tell he was deeply loved and had incredible taste in sweaters." Why sweaters? No one knows. Someone shouted he hated sweaters. Someone else fainted. I think a third person thought I was some secret boyfriend from another life. The entire room buzzed like a disturbed beehive. I wrapped it up with, "I wish I had met him," which is insane, because I was not supposed to be there. My cousin finally texted me, "Where are you?" I sent a photo of the casket like an idiot. She called me instantly screaming, "That's a funeral, dude." I muttered something like, "Rest in peace," and sprinted out the side door. I heard people whispering like I'd been some mysterious spiritual messenger. I didn't correct them. I found the wedding 3 blocks down. The bride thought my suit smelled like sadness. She wasn't wrong. I used to work at a local pet store. Nothing fancy, just fish hamsters and customers who treated me like I was Google with a name tag. One night, I went into the break room to grab my bag before closing and the lights were off. I thought the manager had forgotten something, so I flipped them on. I walked in on 8 coworkers. I didn't know very well, all sitting in a circle in complete silence, each holding a guinea pig like it was a sacred relic. They all turned to look at me at the exact same time, same blank expression, same slow head movement, full horror movie vibes. I said something brilliant like, hi. The assistant manager calmly said, "You weren't invited. To what is there a guinea pig council, a rodent tribunal?" I just stood there holding a dustpan like a shield as the manager said, "Please close the door, you are not ready." Not ready for what? They started humming. The guinea pigs began squeaking in perfect rhythm like they'd rehearsed this number. I backed out slowly, apologized to the dustpan for putting it through this, and went home questioning my entire reality. The next day, no one mentioned it, not a word. To this day, I don't know if it was a prank, a ritual, or if they were summoning the rodent god of sales quotas. I used to deliver room service at a big hotel. Normally, it's just drunk businessmen in towels or tourists who think tipping is optional. But one night, I knocked on room 903. No answer. Knocked again. Still nothing. Policy said I could enter if the food was prepaid, so I went in and immediately realized I had achieved the world's worst achievement. I had walked in on a couple in the middle of an earth-shattering, relationship-destroying argument. They didn't even notice me at first. They were screaming so loud the windows were vibrating. Things thrown include a glittery heel, a full jar of pickles, a shoehorn, something that sounded like a bag of marbles. Then the guy yells, "Fine, maybe I did text my ex, but you slept with my brother." She fired back, "Your brother started it." Then they both yelled, "Not in front of the dog." I turned slowly. The dog was sitting on a suitcase, witnessing everything like a PTSD-ridden therapist. I tried quietly setting the tray down. Then the woman spotted me. She screamed like I was the devil himself. The man screamed because she screamed. The dog screamed because everyone else screamed. Then they both apologized to me for having a moment. And then, to my absolute shock, they asked me to give them advice. I am a room service worker whose problem-solving skills end at, "Would you like extra ketchup?" But they insisted, so I said, "Maybe take a walk." They nodded like I'd given them divine wisdom. Later that night, security told me they checked out separately. The dog went with the woman. I hope he got therapy. I was working as a nighttime janitor for a fancy office building. It was supposed to be quiet, empty, and boring. My kind of job. One night, I went to clean one of the executive conference rooms on the top floor. The door was unlocked normal enough. I walked in. Not normal inside were 6 men in suits sitting around the table like villains in a movie. Stony faces, no laptops, no papers, just a giant duffel bag on the table. I froze, they froze. One guy asked in a very calm voice, "You lost, kid." My soul left my body. I said, "I'm just here for the trash." He pointed to the bin. I nodded like an abused Roomba and emptied it faster than the laws of physics should allow. As I was backing out, the bag unzipped, revealing stacks of money, like movie amounts of money. The man closest to me smiled and said, "You didn't see anything." I promised I had seen nothing. I promised I didn't even have eyes. I promised I would forget how to read. I left. They locked the door behind me. 2 weeks later, the company laid me off because they were downsizing the janitorial team. Which is weird because I was the only janitor. To this day, I have not said a word. I am still afraid they can smell fear through the internet. Okay, so this one is actually hilarious in a traumatizing way. I was at a coffee shop working on homework, earbuds in, minding my business. Or so they thought. My music stopped because my phone died. I hadn't realized it yet. At the table behind me, a group of moms were having what I thought was a friendly chat. Oh no, it was a war zone. One mom whispered, "I swear, if Jennifer puts her gluten-free only kid in my son's carpool one more time, I'll start feeding him bread on purpose." Another said, "Yesterday, I told my husband I was going to yoga. I lied. I sat in my car alone for 2 hours eating Twizzlers." A third said, "Sometimes I pretend to lose the school permission slips just so I don't have to chaperone." A fourth, this one, is the Queen said, "My son's science fair volcano. Yeah, I bought it off Etsy." One mom gasped, "You monster." Then one dropped the bomb of all bombs. "I sometimes hope the PTA meeting gets cancelled by a small electrical fire." They all nodded like this was relatable. I turned slightly and got caught making eye contact with one of them. Her eyes widened like she'd been exposed by the FBI, she mouthed. "You heard everything." I nodded. She mouthed, "Forget it." I nodded again. They all left in silence like a squad of war criminals fleeing the scene.